Hello, Thrivesters. Happy New Year. I love New Year's. I don't really love it, I think, for the same reason everyone else does. I realize that some people think you just turn the calendar forward and all of a sudden you get a fresh start. I do like that. I like New Year's because it's a day when New Year's Day is a day when we all, many of us, slow down and reflect. And I really like that. As you know, if you've been around here a while, I do most of my self-awareness evaluation goal setting around my birthday in July. So it's not as much about goal setting for me as it is about taking the luxury of having the luxury of taking some time and saying, what worked for me with this year, what didn't, what do I want to keep, what do I want to release, all the things. This episode, and also if you've been around for a while, you know that I'm a big fan of using a word or a phrase to take you through the year you have coming up. I first learned about this many, many years ago. It was from Jack Welch's wife, Susie. Susie Welch talked about how she doesn't necessarily, I think she said something about she doesn't have one word, she has three words, or somehow this tied back to Susie Welch. And I really love that idea. And I love the idea because, and I know many of you do this already. I like it because it's your true north. And it's your true north after you take some time and say, okay, really, what do I want my life to be? So it's really what you're asking yourself when you're starting fresh in the new year. I'll come back to that in a second. It's your true north and it works. I know it works. You know it works. If you're new to the Thrive Hive podcast, I'm going to tell a quick story because this is how powerful this word is. And I have run the gamut of different words. And the story I want to tell you is about several years ago. It's probably 4 years ago. My word was thrive. By the way, Thrive Hive podcast, Thrive Hive community, Thrive Hive. So my word was thrive many years ago. And I did a vision board for this concept of thrive. And I love doing vision boards. I do them electronically. I don't make a big deal out of it. I know some people have vision board classes that they do together. I think that's fun if that's your thing. For me, it's very deeply personal. And I love looking for these images. And one of the reasons why I love looking for these images is because I know they work. So one year I did the the Thrive vision board, and it was the word thrive. And all around the word thrive was all these different images of what I believe thriving means. There was fresh produce, there was clean water, there was sunshine, there was children laughing, everything that thrive means to me. And while it was intentional, it wasn't necessarily, for me, it's not about, well, thrive for me means I'm going to launch a new brand and I'm going to write a book about thriving and I'm going to pay thousands of dollars to go thrive on stage. That's not why I do a vision board. I do it for me. I do it for me personally. So I did this vision board, and in full Nancy Medoff fashion, I went a little overboard. I had a 16 by, I think it was 20 maybe, a little poster made. I actually got this idea from a friend. Shout out to Christine. You know who you are, and she does listen to the podcast. So I made a little poster, and I put the poster on my office wall. And every day when I walked into my office, I saw this Thrive vision board and really the images of what thriving means to me. Reinforced it every day. I also put it on my phone as the screensaver on my phone. And every time I looked at my phone, which we all know is numerous times per day, before I could do anything on the phone, I looked at Thrive. So this subconsciously reinforced all areas of my life, like all the time, thrive, 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 thrive. And I loved it. I don't think it's a coincidence that same year I was interviewed by Thrive Global magazine. I think it was one of their Power Women for the year, and it was about how women can thrive. And I just don't think that's a coincidence. I don't. And I don't think that 4 or 5 years later, here we are with the Thrive Hive podcast. This is the power of this word. And I don't think it's the word. I think it's the thought, the meaning, the commitment, and the the determination that we put behind the word. And the reason why I know it's not just the word is because I've also had some missteps with my word over the past several years. One year I tried to have ease as my word, and that year was anything but, I don't want to say easy, but ease was not it was not that year. I had nourish for a while. I love that word, and it just didn't take. So that's why I'm excited about this year's. Wait, I have to tell you about one more. One year I had mise en place. It's 3 words, and it's a French term. It's a French cooking term, and it means everything in its place. So before you start cooking a meal, you dice up all the peppers, you chop up all the garlic, you get everything you need, and you have it in the bowls and everything in its place. And I love that concept. I love to cook. I love that concept because it basically it's saying prepare, get everything ready, make sure you have everything, have it close. So you don't have to stop in the middle. I mean, think about this as an analogy for life. Have it close by, make sure you have enough, make sure it's what you need, and don't start until you're ready. I love this concept. So mise en place was a good year. Anyway, and I mise en place all year long, not only my cooking, but in my life. So anyway, so I've had a few missteps with my word lately. And this year, I'm telling you, this is going to be the year I come back. Let me tell you why. Here's my word, and I'm going to tell you why. The story behind the word, I think, is, first of all, hilarious and very powerful. And hopefully you'll get a little chuckle as well as kind of think about, are we taking ourselves too seriously? Like what? So anyway, my word is fresh. It's going to be my word. And that's kind of it's definitely a non-traditional word. I guarantee you there is no mantra bracelet out there that says fresh. There's just not. I don't think that there's an app out there like Calm or any, Intention or any of the other ones that say fresh. I'm going to tell you why my word is fresh. And I giggle even thinking about it. So it started as a pseudo joke. So for those of you that have been here a while, you know that many nights in the winter, or sometimes in the winter, I live on Cape Cod and my husband goes back to Boston. He still goes into an office every day or several days a week. He thinks that's important, that he's there in person, and he goes back a couple nights, 2 or 3 nights a week. And this works for us most of the time. In the summer, he's on with me on the Cape a lot more. And it works. It's our system. Is it ideal? No, but it works. And I'm on the Cape like 99.9% of the time. Sometimes I really miss him. And sometimes, I say, hey, can you come down Thursday instead of Friday? And I want him to come down after work. Now in the winter, in New England, it gets dark at 4 p.m. And I'm not talking about it gets a little dark. It is 4:15 is sunset, and by 5 o'clock, stars are out, animals are howling, it's cold, like it is lockdown after 5 o'clock, which is ironic because also in New England in the summer, we're going till 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I know those of you that live in other locations, particularly Sweden, you get the benefit of daylight, a lot of daylight, almost, I think you get what, 12, 18 hours of daylight, maybe? No, definitely more than, sorry, like 20-ish hours of daylight. Anyway, go down a rabbit hole here. So cold, dark, wet, cold, dark, dead of winter. I would like him to come down. So I was talking to him the other day, not the other day, I was talking to him several months ago, and I said, hey, babe, can you just come down Thursday night? Like, well, I don't understand. Why can't you leave work at like 2 or 3 and come down then? I don't understand. I missed him and I wanted him to come down. And it's a 2.5-hour drive, by the way. So he said something along the lines of, and I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I get this right because it was a while ago. Something along the lines of, I just prefer to be fresh when I get there. Fresh. And you can imagine my reaction to this. I love that idea. And I would love the luxury of being able to decide that I'm only going to show up when it's best for me. I'm only going to show up as my best self all the time. I'm only going to show up fresh. I'm only going to plan my life so that I'm fresh. Maximize my freshness, if you will. Real people don't get to do that. Life happens. And so we had a discussion and he stayed in Boston, good for him. And I naturally was kind of a little bratty about it for the next few days. I'm like, hey, is that food fresh enough for you? Because I know fresh is important, or fresh this, fresh that, tongue in cheek, joking around. And I jokingly said to my friend, because I was telling her about it the next day, shout out to my friend, you know who you are. I said, you know what? Like, wow, he wants to be fresh. I'm going to use that as my word. That's going to be my word for 2026, fresh. Because wouldn't it be nice if we could all show up fresh? I don't get the luxury of doing that. Fresh as a daisy. And then I thought about it and I say, good for him. He's on to something. Really, if you think about it, what he was doing was very matter of fact and without a lot of drips, creating a boundary. It's not good for me to drive down there at the dark, in the dark at night. Yes, I would prefer to be there. I also prefer to be safe, to be rested, to be my best version of myself when I do see you. I want to get a good night's sleep. I want to start fresh in the morning and show up as my best self. And you know what? Good for him. Am I right? Good for him. I actually think that's powerful. So I decided that I love the word fresh. So think about this, not just fresh as in renewed or revitalized or the opposite of tired. Think about when I think about using fresh as my word for 2026 or declaring fresh as my word for 2026, and I can't do it without giggling because when I was growing up, I don't know if you listening, I think this is an older term. Um, it was don't be so fresh, don't be a fresh mouth. If you would wise off or be sarcastic, don't be so fresh. And sometimes we can be a little fresh. Anyway, so think about fresh, taking care of yourself so that you're fresh for whatever comes your way. A fresh perspective, fresh approach, fresh ideas, um, fresh relationships or a refresh on relationships. I'm talking about friends, family, your partner, your kids, fresh habits, fresh choices. Fresh is kind of a good pseudo word for new. What I like about fresh is new is like brand new, sparkling. To me, fresh is I'm going to take something and I'm going to kind of refresh it, looking fresh, feeling fresh, acting fresh, being fresh. And then I started thinking about um, other words, like what is a synonym for fresh? And some of them were crisp. Think about a crisp approach to your life. Love that. Newly arrived. That's another expression for fresh. I love that. Newly arrived. Wouldn't you love to be newly arrived every day when you get out of bed? And think about when we don't allow ourselves to show up fresh. We've been conditioned to power through hustle culture. I mean, I really like that that's getting this whole hustle culture is getting debunked, and I like that a lot. Think about how much we've been conditioned to power through and keep going, and um, as women, particularly, because we are sometimes responsible for all the things. And think about if we viewed fresh not as a luxury, and I'm talking about me here. I'm like, oh, I love the luxury. But fresh is a choice. Fresh is a choice every day. It's boundaries you set with yourself. It's saying no to something that drains you so you can say yes to something that fills your cup. It's extraordinarily powerful. I love this word. I think it's great. I think it's personally meaningful to me. And more power to those of us that can say, you know what, I know I'm going to forsake what I want right now so that I can show up as the best version of myself. That to me really is what fresh means. So, Thrivesters, my word is fresh. And I'm going to have some fun putting that vision board together. I haven't yet. I haven't yet. And I can tell you it's going to involve wellness. It's going to involve health. It's going to involve friendships, true friendships. Yeah, I have a lot coming on the podcast about adult friendships. It's been very top of mind for me lately, and I've been listening to some other people and doing some research. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Um, Fresh perspectives, fresh like fresh grace. Think about the things that used to upset you or trigger you and still do? What if you took a fresh approach to that and said, just because this has been triggering for me for 10 years, 8 years, 4 years, 20 years, I'm gonna start fresh. I'm gonna start fresh because that's what the new year is for a lot of people, isn't it? Starting fresh. So why not embody fresh into the whole year? You're welcome, Thrivesters. And with that, I say, welcome to 2026. I feel it. I don't say this often. I really haven't. I think many of us, I'm hearing a lot about many of us in 2025. It was a transition year. We were felt off our game. Things were weird, cosmic alignment, whatever you want to talk about. 2026. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you about. So 2025, if you follow Chinese astrology, 2025 was the year of the snake. And I'm going to really, really paraphrase this. So don't hold this against me if you're really into this. And if I get it wrong, I don't think I will. But so 2025 was the year of the snake, and the snake is shedding. So the snake shed its skin. You shed all of that. So all of that, what didn't feel comfortable, what didn't feel right, what didn't feel like it fit, you shed it. It's gone. And now 2026 is the year of the horse. And that horse is ready to go. It is ready to ride, thrive, gallop, do whatever you want to do as a horse. And I'm here for it. So welcome back to 2026. This is it. This is going to be a powerful year. And I'm going to leave it at that, Thrivesters. So with that, go out there and thrive like you mean it.